It's D-Man here, and today we are doing a Star versus the Force of Evil Season 3, how I personally think it should have ended. So, Season 3 was quite interesting, don't you think? It had the best ending, in my personal opinion. I would even say it's better than Toffee's send-off at the beginning of Season 3. I would say Meteora's whole arc there was way better than Toffee's arc. But it has a good season, but I personally think it should have ended differently. So, we all know the episode Booth Buddies, where Star and Marco finally kiss in the booth. I thought that should have weighed more heavily on the end of the series, but it really didn't. It just kind of was there, and then it was basically just like, oh, well, he told Tom eventually, but it was kind of just brushed off at the end. And we're not going to know anything about it till Season 4, perhaps. I don't know if Season 4 is going to actually do anything, but we're not going to know anything about it till Season 4. So anyways, this is why I would change some things about Season 3. And especially the ending. Nothing really about Season 3 in general, but just the ending of Season 3. So what I would change about Season 3, or at least the ending of Season 3, is basically after Booth Buddies. I want there to be the same Ponyhead episode, I guess. That episode's fine. But after that episode, when Star comes back to the castle, I would want there to be, so this is my personal thing, by the way. This is like how I'd end it, right? So after Booth Buddies, I think there's only one episode, so I'd have 2 episodes before the 2-episode season finale. And then on one of those episodes, I would have the Ponyhead episode, and then I would also have a different episode where basically when Star comes back from Ponyhead, Tom finds out through, I don't know, finding the pictures that Star took of them kissing. So he finds out, he gets angry, and they're all arguing pretty much, and it's just kind of like this emotional, really kind of funny but emotional episode at the same time. And by the end, I think this episode would end like this. Basically, Tom would say something like, well, Marco, I don't think this place is big enough for the two of us, so maybe you should just leave, something like that. And Marco would be like what? Like, sort of thing. And he would look at Star and want her to say something, but Star would be too emotionally confused, I would say. Not really emotionally damaged, but confused. So she wouldn't really say anything. And then he would open a portal, probably glance back, frown as Star frowned at him, and then leave, and then he might be like, oh no, sort of thing. So he might be like, oh no, sort of thing, right? And Star might like raise her hand out and be like sort of don't go sort of thing, like try to stop her, sort of stop him sort of thing. But after he leaves, right, I think this would be a really awesome episode. So he would leave, we would have no idea where he went, but he's just gone. And then the next episode would be Moon and Eclipse's episode, where they go look for Meteora. So they go look for Meteora. They find her, but it would end differently. It wouldn't end with Meteora hitting Moon and her going to the magical dimension. Basically, I don't know exactly how it would end, but it would end with them not being defeated necessarily. I think they would open up a portal, like the Scissors Dimension portal sort of thing. They would open it up, and she would basically be thrust through it, and that's how they deal with it for the time being. And then they would go home. And probably put Eclipse back in chains. And then Moon would be like, Star would probably be like to Moon, like, did you find her? And she's just like, yes, but we had no luck, dear. And then Moon would be like, what about you, dear? Sort of thing, like asking her if she found Marco. And then she'd be like, oh, like, I haven't found him yet, no. And it'd be kind of like a somber little ending there. And then on the second episode of this episode, right, like there's 2-part episodes usually. There's 2 episodes in one, I guess. So in the second part, it'd be going to Marco and seeing where he went. And he went to Hekapoo's dimension. This is where he went. He went to Hekapoo's dimension with his adult buff body and stuff like that. And basically, he's in Hekapoo's dimension just doing adventures. I don't know if he's with Hekapoo necessarily, but he's in Hekapoo's dimension just doing adventures. and just doing cool stuff just to get his mind off of like what happened with Star and stuff like that. And I just think it'd be pretty cool to see that. And then by the end of that episode, starting into the season finale, we would see Eclipsa walking up to Marco, because that's where the portal opened up in the episode with Moon and Eclipsa. Meteor walking up to Marco, but that's what happened in the episode with Moon and Eclipsa. They opened up a portal, and it went to Hecapoo's dimension, and that's where we would find her. And she's walking up to adult Marco, and she kind of like, he eventually like spills the beans, because he does that often when he's an adult. He did that to Star, so he eventually spills the beans, and she knows that it's him. And then we ended up on a cliffhanger, and then we go to the season finale, the 2-episode season finale. So basically, what would happen in the first episode would be that Marco would essentially fight against Meteora, and it'd be a really cool battle. I could see like a lot of quips going back and forth, sort of thing. Like maybe Meteora would be like, "Look how strong I am now, Princess Tordina. You can't even stop me," and like hitting him and stuff. And Marco might be like, back in those dimensions, I wasn't strong enough to really defeat you, but in this dimension, I've defeated like whole armies and stuff like that. And it'd just be super cool just to have this back and forth, and this really epic fight between Marco's adult form and Meteora. It'd be really cool just to see this epic fight. And then by the end, this is what would happen by the end, in my version of this ending. Basically, they would fight to the point where they're on a cliff next to a river, like a cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff there's a raging river. And Marco is basically defeated, and through this whole time we're going back and forth between Marco pretty much and Star. Like, she's getting ready for Star and Moon, I guess. They're getting ready for They're getting ready for Meteor to come and hit them, so they're getting all ready and stuff like that. But at the end, we get this really cool like scene where Marco's like defeated, and he's like at the edge of this cliff, and he's just like, "Oh gosh," sort of thing, right? And then he's just like, to Eclipsa, he's basically just like, not Eclipsa, sorry, I keep on getting this up. To Meteor, he's just like, "So what? You gonna suck my soul now or something like that?" It'd be pretty funny the way, like, if they made it right, it'd be funny. So he says something like that, and then Meteora, she looks at him and she's like, I used to want to suck your soul so badly, but I don't really want to do that anymore because you're kind of useless to me now. So instead of sucking his soul, just to spite him, just to say that she's better than him, sort of thing, she's like, I used to want to have your essence because like I thought you were so up there, sort of thing. And she's just like, but just to spite you, I don't really want your soul anymore. And she just smacks him. And she smacks him off the cliff into the raging river. And then that's how that part ends. And then she grabs his dimensional scissors and she goes back to Muni. And this is where the fun part begins, right? So this is like pretty much the end of the first episode. And then the second episode starts and she goes back to Muni and she's walking back to the castle. She defeats like everybody that's after her and stuff like that. And then when she gets to the castle, there's going to be an epic fight between her, Star, Moon, and Eclipsa. Eclipsa's going to escape like she did in the real ending. She would escape and she would go fight with her daughter against Moon and Star because she doesn't want them to hurt her daughter. So basically, they all fight. Moon probably gets the wand somehow. I don't know how she does, but she probably does. Eclipsa, sorry. So she gets the wand somehow. I don't know how she does, but she does. And then she's trying to hold Star off in them, and she's trying to hold, Meteor off, and she's just like, everybody should just calm down, stuff like that. And eventually, either during this fight or before this fight, Marco's brought up somehow. Like, maybe she's just like, oh, you forgot about your other boyfriend or something like that. Like, just like she did in this episode. Just like she did in the original episode, I guess. And then she's like, what? She's like, oh, don't worry though. I already took care of him. She'll show Star Marco's scissors. And then Star would be like, what? And she'll just freak out. And then, like, this is where the real battle begins. She'll freak out and she'll start going after her, like what'd you do to Marco, sort of thing. And she's like, oh, I just threw him off a cliff, sort of thing. She'd be like, oh, I just threw him off a cliff, so you don't have to worry about him anymore. And it'd be a really cool little thing where they basically fight and they're talking about Marco, sort of, and Star's worried about him because basically she's saying that she killed him, sort of thing. And then by the end, I think it would be a similar ending where Eclipse basically kills Meteor and turns her back into a baby, apologizes, and then she leaves. And Glossaryck leaves with her, I guess. And then Moon's just kind of like kneeling down, and Star just kind of lays on her lap, and she's like, "What are we gonna do, Mom?" sort of thing. So this is where it differs. Like, instead of like having that ending, she just lays down on her mom's lap, and she's just like, "What are we gonna do?" And she's like, "I don't know, sweetie. Don't worry about it, though." And she's like, "What about Marco?" sort of thing. Like, she says something about Marco in those ending clips. And then it ends just like it did in the original. So it ends there, and then we start with season 4. Now, I don't know exactly how season 4 would go, but I do know one thing. So in season 4, when they find, like, they'd have to go find Marco because Star would be, she would, like, refuse to think that he died, sort of thing. And she would want to go find him, and somehow she would get the information where they fought and stuff like that. So she would want to go find him, and then when they find him eventually, because they will find him, I don't know exactly where they'll find him. I don't know if he stayed in Heku's dimension or accidentally went to a different dimension, but they will find him eventually. But when they do, he'll have complete amnesia. It's kind of funny because I thought about this like as the third season was being made, like as the ending of the third season was being made, and I was just like, oh, that'd be super cool if that's what happened to Marco, right? Um, But it turns out it happened to Moon instead because in the season 4, I'm pretty sure they're gonna find Moon, but she's gonna have amnesia. But like before that even happened, I thought like it'd be cool if it happens to Marco. So yeah, they kind like I kind of had the same idea as them, except kind of opposite. I didn't go for Moon, I went for Marco. So, but yeah, that's how I personally would have ended it. And when they found him, he would have had amnesia, and they would have had to deal with it somehow. So it'd be pretty cool. I don't know. Tell me how you like my ending of Star Wars: The Force of Evil Season 3. Or tell me if you like the original better. Personally, I like the original. I really do. I would even say it's better than Toffee's little thing. But I like mine better because Marco and Star have a falling out, and then at the end they have to like, she has to go find him because he's basically gone and his mind's erased. And it would lead up to a lot of emotional stuff, and probably lead up to like a good amount of episodes just to find them. So that'd be pretty interesting. But anyways, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, my friends, stay sane. Peace. Hey guys, D-Man here. Just saying, hope you liked this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and all that nonsense. But anyways, I hope you have a good day, because, you know, the video's over. And I hope you watch more videos. Go ahead and click these videos, or click subscribe, you know. See ya.